Good morning, labas rytas. It's my pleasure to be here in this conference this morning and have an opportunity to talk about one very important topic. And the topic is dynamic shading. And before I start my presentation, I would like to ask your permission to ask you the question, how often do you meet such a term in your daily work? Well, probably it depends on the specialization where you work, yeah, but the architects and specifiers who are working with a facade management, with a glazing, with a shading, they meet it quite often. And how they say this is one of the elegant, pragmatic, and sustainable ways how to adapt our buildings to the modern normatives. And my name is Dainis Rimšāns, and I'm a project business developer at Somfy Baltics. And as you see from my name, I'm not a Lithuanian and not also the native English. Yeah. So, and therefore today I will speak in English, and hopefully it will be easy for you to understand. And in the next 15 minutes, as I mentioned, I would like to talk more about dynamic shading and to see how important it is. So from the very beginning, I would like to start with the fact what we all know. Up to 90% or even sometimes more of our lifetime we are spending indoors in the buildings. Yeah? And therefore we all know that buildings are very important. I remember from my childhood when the parents were struggling to get the kids inside in the house from the outside, yeah. But nowadays we are doing in opposite way. So we are pushing our kids out, yeah. Just allow them to play outside. So and the building is very important, yeah. And of course the new buildings, they have new modern requirements. This for sure. And the many people, of course, immediately recognize like a daylight, like energy consumption, which is very important. But there is one more factor. It's a thermal stability. And this is actually where the Somfy is focusing on. And we are, for many years, we are developing products especially related to the thermal stability of the buildings. And why we do it? We are doing it because of the comfort. And the comfort is very important for us, yeah. And of course, it's we could say individual for each other, yeah, but there are some factors which are common to all of us, yeah, and maybe we can agree on two of them. The first one is, let's say, visual comfort, and the second one is a thermal. And what it means, we all know this kind of situation: the sun shining, no blinds. The people are sweating, so the glare inside, the reflections, so situation is annoying. And of course, there are hundreds of ways how we can avoid this situation, yeah, but I don't think that these kind of systems are relevant anymore. Especially if we come back to the first speaker of today, he introduced us with the plans of the European Union related to the vehicles, yeah, to the electrical charging systems, yeah. I don't think that this will be possible because of the capacity of the electricity, availability, and so on. So talking about the visual comfort then, the most important thing, of course, it's to get the right amount of the light inside of the building, and also we have to consider the size of the windows, because year by year our houses are getting bigger, and of course the windows are getting bigger. As we're spending more time indoors, so we don't want to lose some kind of feeling, the sense of what's happening outside, and this is pretty normal. And of course the thermal comfort, this was always important, and the people are trying to get the best for them. Also, if we talk about the visual comfort, important is the amount of the light, sufficient amount of the light, yeah, to reduce the eye fatigue and increase the long-term well-being inside of the buildings. And several researches shows that this is very important, yeah. You can see many of them, yeah, how the right lighting and the right temperature indoors impacts our performance, yeah, and also increases, let's say, our health. So, and this is the one of drawings of visualization of the ecosystem, what Somfy offers, yeah. So, in this case, we see that combination of electronic components like motors, like motor controllers, different sensors, then different algorithms, timers combined together, and the result is that, for example, the parts of the facade where we have direct sun penetration, the blinds are closed, but on the parts, for example, where we have the shadow, yeah, so the blinds are still open, allowing the natural daylight to let into the premises. And of course, and sometimes the people, they don't know exactly what it means, all these components, how they look like, yeah. And especially if we talk about the motors, so it's, they think the motors are big, something really noisy, something dangerous, yeah. But in fact, the motors are very small. They fit into the blind itself, so it's invisible. And if we talk about the building controllers, so they are also located in the electrician cabinets. And only what we maybe might see, it's sensors on the roof or on the facades. And of course, local controls inside the rooms or some kind of applications on the computer. So it's up to the user what they would like to have in their building. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. So and here we have a simulation made by British engineers. They took one building in the London city, yeah, and they just modulate what is the impact of the sun in the combination if we don't use the shades, if we use external blinds, and if we use, for example, internal blinds. And there is no doubt, of course, external blinds are more efficient, yeah, but in many cases we have the situation where the building doesn't allow to build outside blinds, yeah. And therefore, it's important to show that also the internal shading in such a buildings with the glass facades are quite effective and useful. Yeah, and this is, of course, one building in London, but in fact, there are several independent calculation tools and softwares which you can use, yeah, and for example, you can take one of your projects, you can upload the project itself, implement the data for calculations, yeah, and then afterwards you can get a report of impact of the external shading or internal shading on the building, one or in another case, or if, for example, you don't want to make a specification for all the building, you can easily choose one room. For example, your living room or maybe your office room, yeah. So what you need to do, you just implement the data like location, envelope of the building, yeah. So then size of the window, the type of the screen, and also the type of the glazing. And what you can do, you can also simulate, yeah, is it summer conditions, for example, to calculate overheating efficiency, yeah, or for example in the winter, if you open the blinds, allow the sun energy to heat interior of your house. And then you can get report, and here you can see that what is the values without shading and what are the values if you use shading. And then you can easily recognize the impact of it. After it, you can also get the output of it, yeah, with the precise calculations, how much you can save, for example, on the cooling of the premises, yeah, let's say in one specific date, for example, here. And these are actually the real numbers. This is something really measurable, yeah. What you can do, you can take this, the watts, multiply with the price of the energy, and you can show exactly, dear customer, your house, I don't know, 10,000 square meters, will be able to save, let's say, some amount of money if you use some kind of the shading. Yeah, and coming back only to, not only to the savings, yeah. As previous was mentioned, European Union and the local government regulations and the climate packages, yeah. So the external shading and internal shading, dynamic shading, helps significantly reduce the amount of energy consumption, yeah. So, and I think this will be very important in the nearest future. And not only the system itself is sustainable and eco-friendly, but also almost the most of our products which we offer for the projects have eco-passport. Yeah, so you can easily take this eco-passport and put to the documentation of the building. This all we can supply to you as well. And here we have some, Here we have some references of the projects which were done in the past, where Somfy motors and the technologies are used. Yeah, and here I want to emphasize that it doesn't matter what kind of building, what shape, what the purpose of it. Yeah, the most common thing for all these buildings is that they are using dynamic shading systems. Yeah, and also saving the money on the heating and the cooling and the ventilation. So, and in the end, I want to say that doesn't matter how big is a building, but one thing is if the building is bigger, so then it has a bigger needs for dynamic shading. This is for sure. So thank you very much for your attention.